now. We are faced with the fact that the medical profession, for all its sophistication, has limitations. And they're most marvellously expert as technicians in so many ways. But the healing factor. We're lucky if we can encounter a medic who is truly also a healer. Very lucky. In what you said, it seemed to me the operative word was you mentioned an enlightenment experience.
An attunement. Oh yes, in terms of the guy who found or who searched for his healing.
You mentioned an enlightenment
Yeah,
experience.
Yeah. Well, in the sense that a light came towards him.
The enlightenment experience is quite literally the experience of light.
Mm.
Anyway, enough of that. What are we to make of all this? You were going to say something, Mr. Bridger.
No, I was only going to mention an absent healer who lived upstairs, and he thought about people, and if they got well, he sent them an invoice. That is
Could I ask who in this room, apart from myself, does not have healing powers?
Does not.
Does not have healing powers. How many of us do not have healing powers?
You don't know. You don't know really, do you?
Well, we're not conscious of having healing powers.
I'm not conscious.
Now, how many of us are not conscious of having healing powers? Well, it looks about 50-50, so about half of us are healers, and the rest of us probably need healing. We ought to get together sometime. Can you help me, Sean? I've been having some problems lately.
So you don't believe there's such a thing as people helping to heal other people?
I didn't say that.
Oh, right. So who are those who...
What I did
Yeah.
try and point out was that I would suspect in the story, the operative element was the enlightenment experience,
Right, okay.
which is a transformation,
Right.
which is an unblocking. An unblocking of what? Trapped energies, which are now free to flow. It is obvious, I believe, that healing exists in the universe. The universe is a process concerned with development, transformation, and regeneration, all of which involves a recovery process and even a resurrection process. It's all part of what one may regard as healing. Now, what has bothered me a bit over the years, encountering so many people who announce to me that they're healers and are also obviously nuts, is that we clearly need to preserve a sense of proportion, a hypercritical sense, which includes a self-critical sense. The essential thing is not that we heal others, but that we begin yoga. Yoga, which is the process of self-regeneration, without which we're nothing. We're nothing. Just gropers in the dark. The vast majority of the population, from a yoga standpoint, are slumbering, at best, asleep. From the standpoint of Christ, when he said, "Leave the dead to bury the dead," in his phraseology, the dead were those who were not spiritually alive. We either are spiritually alive or we're not. Now, our responsibility is not first and foremost towards the defects, the malfunctioning, or the criminality of someone over there. Our first responsibility is to sort out this mess. One has to begin there. We're either integrated in the sense that yoga would understand, or we are not. If we are balanced, integrated, which means that we have the fruitful interfusion of body, mind and spirit. If we have that, then whatever potentiality is inherent in us will come to the fore. Without that, we're stunted, we're crippled, we're insufficient. We are not as we should and probably could be. The purpose of yoga, the yoga in our time, is to find what is relevant to the needs of humanity as we know humanity to be, beginning with this. Sort out this, and then maybe something will happen. What will happen? If I presume to think, or if you presume to think, or if any of us presumes to think, I can help so-and-so. I wish to help people. How often have I heard that phrase? Physician, heal thyself. If we ourselves innately are in a state of conflict and confusion, if not chaos, whatever we do, whatever we project from here, will only cause further conflict and confusion. We cannot do otherwise. Now, what is wisdom? What is beauty? What is healing? What is truth? They're not separate. All are manifestations of that flow that we can call faith. All life is energy. All the manifest universe is energy, at somewhat varying densities of vibration rate. But everything is energy. We are energy. We are either energy in cosmos, or we are energy in chaos. The Greeks These are Greek words. To be in cosmos is to be in right order, right harmony. When that exists within ourselves, then we do have attunement to the cosmos. We have to ask ourselves, are we in chaos or are we in cosmos? If we reach the wrong conclusion, if we say, I am in cosmos, nature will disabuse us. Nature is the great educator. Nature is the teacher. Life is the teacher. Everything we learn that is worth learning, we learn by shock. Shock is by no means always painful. It can be delightful. It can be ecstatic. But when something hits us that's truly meaningful, that changes us, then it comes with impact, with a degree of shock. Yes? You with me? It is so. Life is the teacher. Now, life will teach in many ways. It may be, the commonest form is through the human agency. But life is ever speaking. Life is richly meaningful. The bird in the tree can be saying something. A leaf in the breeze can be saying something. There are subtle nuances that stir in the atmosphere. They're all telling us something. If we are unfolding in terms of yoga, progressively we will become hypersensitive. This is right. Consciousness is only achievable through sensitivity. No sensitivity, very limited consciousness. Hypersensitivity, our capacity to experience is greatly enhanced. Now, this poses a problem for yoga in our time. We must have hypersensitivity. Very important, therefore, that we have stability, which we call hara. Vitally important, this factor of hara. If we have that malleable, flexible rootedness, likened to a Russian doll, which gets a biff, and it will go bongity-bong, but it will come erect again. Intrinsically, it not only rolls with the punches, it flows with them. If we have that, then with confidence and without fear, we can open ourselves to ever-increasing levels of sensitivity. If we do not have that, then there is fear. There is fear of experience. There is fear of the impact of experience. There is fear of what's going to hit us because we haven't the strength to withstand it. This is so obviously true, isn't it? Is that right? So we need a yoga which will allow us to awaken without our being knocked over. If we're knocked over, if we're flattened, if we're reduced to a nervous breakdown because we can't cope with the demands of the everyday, we're no use to ourselves, we're no use to anybody else. So let's please, first of all, get rid of the multitude of nutters who are crowding into this scene. I know, because I've met them. And it's so sad in many cases. Illusion, delusion. Met a little chap once, he was introduced to me. Weedy little fellow. He was introduced to me, he was English, introduced to me as, this is Tantra Murti. Now, a monastic name is given to describe the inner being, the true state of the one who has been thus renamed. Tantra Murti means the power of Tantra. Tantra is the way of power. Someone who's called the way of Tantra, my goodness me, what are we to expect? What did I see? It's fantasy, illusion. You blow on him and he'd fall over. It's nonsense. What sort of games are we playing? He wanted to discuss spiritual experiences with me. I don't know why he thought I was equipped to help him with any sort of spiritual experiences. I said, well, I'm most happy to hear what you have to say, but it can't really be a two-way conversation since I don't have any spiritual experiences. Face full of miles. But anyway, carry on. I'm most happy to listen. So, where are we in all this? You've put your finger on the other bit, haven't you? As soon as there's a way of making a few bucks, we're in, quick. I used to think at one time that every nutcase you met wanted to be a yoga teacher. Lately, much latterly, it appeared that every other nutcase you met wanted to be a counsellor. A counsellor. Doesn't that require maturity? What is maturity? Balance. Self-knowledge. No delusions. Just sane awareness in cosmos. Now, we mentioned last night the Theosophical Society, which began, I think, in many ways, doing good work, pioneering Eastern wisdom in the West, especially this country and America. Did good work. More and more, however, they had to be an authority, which meant more and more they had to appear infallible, which meant more and more they had to commit themselves to invented truths. Otherwise they could no longer appear infallible. And it reached such a point that they devised this system of initiations. And certain of the bosses of the TS were selling initiations. Initiations being put in touch with the masters. Various grades, 1, 2, 3, all of them flogged. What a funny business, isn't it? What a funny business. Now, where do we go from there? What is cosmos? What is chaos? The Greek term cosmos is very close to the Sanskrit word ratam. Ratam. Let me write it up. Rightness. Linked with rightness, meaning right order, there is the word, a significant word, much used in our Western religion. Righteousness. Righteousness is rightness. Rightness is right order, right balance. What does it mean, this Ratam? The ancient Hindu wisdom was expressed in two wonderful ways. One, through the highest flights of philosophic discernment that the human mind is capable of reaching and has never exceeded. Two, through a rich mythos, which speaks not so much in philosophy but in parables. Marvelous stories which engage the attention, register in the unconscious, and draw forth in various ways at various times a response from our own psyche that enriches our understanding of spiritual growth and thereby enhances expansion of consciousness, which is what it's all about. Yeah? Now, Ratam is achieved through Dharma. Dharma, the way, is personified as a god. And Dharma as a wife. Indivisible from Dharma. There is Mrs. Dharma. And the name of Mrs. Dharma is Shraddha, a goddess, meaning faith. Now this gives us some understanding, I think, into the real meaning of faith. Because Shraddha is cognate with Shru, meaning to flow. You with me? To flow. No blocks. The flowing of the life force from the physical transmuting into the spiritual, and the spiritual descending, manifesting into the physical. Yeah? Through faith. And faith will change all things. We have that great insistence from the very best sources, do we not? Say yes. Maybe you don't think so.
Faith can move mountains.
You're the sort of
She's a big girl.
you're the sort of definite Christian among us, sir.
Sorry?
This is why I'm looking at you.
Oh, I thought you were looking at me. Yeah, sorry.
Never mind.
Yeah. I was wondering. I'm sorry.
Never mind. Well, I was making eyes at the girl behind you.
Sorry?
Now,
What was the
flow.
question? What was the
Listen,
question now?
please.
Oh, sorry.
I was talking about faith can move mountains.
All right.
We have the very best assurance of that fact.
Yes.
Faith will transform all things.
Yeah.
Yes?
Sure.
Combination of St. Paul and Jesus.
Right.
Yeah? Now, cognate also with this is saras. Which means flowing. And the quest of the Holy Grail, is centered upon the land of Saras, the land of the flowing. Yes? You with me?
I'm not Vichlada, no, I'm not. You lost me up there with Shlada. I thought that was grace.
It's essentially the same thing.
All right. Okay.
Now, the land of the flowing is the land of Saras, and the land of Saras is the land of the Holy Grail. And the true state of humankind is that the entity that is ourself shall become the Holy Grail. Now, this is very interesting because without faith there can be no fulfillment of the Dharma. Without the Dharma, there can be no means through which faith can bear fruit. Now, we need several boards, don't we? In the imagery of the ancient Hindu mythos, the earth is interpenetrated. Our sphere, the earth, is interpenetrated by a ray from the pole star, on which our earth rotates. This is called the Merudanda. And the Merudanda is the pivot, first of the earth and second of the universe. The human spinal column is also called the Merudanda. It is our centre. It is the inner core of the vital forces that flow from the earth upwards to the light and from the light downwards. This, you can say, this Merudanda, from the pole star to the earth, is the divine pivot. Now, the great bow of the king of the gods, Indra, was said to reach from the pole star down and through the earth via the sun. So here we have a linking of the sun and the earth and the pole star and the pivot. Here we have the upright arm of the cross. It is the centre, the core of being, the centre, the core of manifestation, human and cosmic. When the dervish does his turning dance, he's turning on the Merudanda, and the dancer becomes the centre of the universe through his attunement to the centre of the universe. Yes? The word altar means the raised up part, the exalted part, the consecrated part, the highest aspect of the earth we inhabit. You have to climb up to the altar. It's one of these curiosities of modern Christianity, that you no longer have to ascend to the altar. It's all brought down among us. They don't know how daft they're being. Just as they don't know how daft they're being when the priest no longer leads the congregation in facing to the east. He turns his back on the east. He faces the audience. He turns his back on the east. He turns his back on the source of the light, where light is born. What do they think they're doing? They're ever so clever, but they're very unwise. Do you realize the West, in the ancient consciousness, the ancient symbolism, the West is the direction of the setting sun. The West is the direction of death. If you're facing the east, you're invoking the rising light. If you're facing the west, you're facing the direction of deterioration and death. They're mad. Clever, but mad. Now, the altar, the exalted, sacramentally consecrated aspect of the earth, is that. Here we have the cross then, which is the consecrated extension of the earth, that is matter, that is substance, interpenetrated by the descent of the divine within the circle of eternity. From a yoga point of view, if you look at the ancient symbols, that is the meaning of the cross. It's also the tree of life. It's also expressive of the quaternity, implies the four corners, implies completion. oneness, wholeness. Yes? It is expressive of the full and complete human being. A full and complete human being is not one who says, I can do this, I can do that. I will go and help someone. I will accomplish. It's not that at all, I suspect. I strongly suspect. It's one who says, let it happen. Let it flow. Let it be. If I have shed or seek to shed, and am prepared to make the sacrifice that will enable me to shed, that which blocks the flowing, that which prevents fulfillment of the Dharma, that which stops us knowing the flow of faith, which is the flow of beauty, which is the flow of wisdom, which is then truth. What needs to happen will happen. What needs to be will be. We must let go this, what in so many instances is this silly little notion. I'm going to help someone. We must first begin with this and put this in order. The Trinity. 3 is the number of unity. Body, mind, spirit. 4 is the number of completion. 8 is the number double completion, the number of fulfillment. And I strongly suspect, it's just a personal opinion, that the figure 8 contracted into a single circle at some very ancient time was expressed as what we call the Tai Chi symbol. Now, the true disciple is one who is able to say, not my will, but what the greater life is seeking to accomplish. Let it do with me as it requires, in fulfillment of the higher purposes. But our first responsibility is to sort out this mess here. Then the possibility may arise that in interaction with what we call society, we might do other than extends the confusion that is ourself, the nonsense and the unwisdom that is ourself. Bring ourselves to a state of balance. Then let it do what it will. And if it wills wisdom, there will be wisdom. If it wills healing, there will be healing. If it wills creativity, there will be creativity. if it wills the manifestation of a nameless force which cannot be labelled, that too will happen. That's just the ruminations of an old man. He's looked around a bit for the best part of 7 decades. If we are yogis, let us be yogis. Let us not pursue the absurdity of the paranormal. That's just an egocentric quest that will only lead to a rectification of our state by shocks imposed by nature. Nature is the teacher. Nature will disabuse us. But be what we are, see what we are, become what we are. And many, many things become possible if we cease to impose our egocentric little preconceptions upon the life process. Every one of us has an amazing potential, imminent. But we do have to let go the old Adam, the old nonsense. And beyond that, there is a level that does not recognize the limitations of our petty personal state. And in that, the miraculous can and does flow with abundance. But do let us realize the gifts of the Spirit are not a merchandise. And those who make it so will be dealt with by nature. It's called karma. Is it time for tea?